It's time for Recipe of the Day. In the olden days of my cooking life, there was a constant trade-off when cooking smaller-sized proteins. The trade-off was that if I wanted to cook it in a hands-off way, it wouldn't get very brown. Whereas if I wanted it nice and brown, I had to do a more hands-on technique. So like something like a chicken breast, if I want that nice browning on the outside because it's fairly small and cooks very quickly inside, I would pan fry it, but then I have to stand there the whole time and be near it and making sure it's not browning and flipping it and all of that. And then if I wanted to instead do the hands-off cooking, like doing it in the oven, that's great. It's hands-off, but it takes such a short time to cook that it's not really going to brown very much on the outside. Less flavor. You know what I mean? Well, that changed once the air fryer came into my life. Now I so often cook smaller proteins like this in the air fryer. It is hands-off like the oven, and you also get some nice browning. Not quite as much as pan fry, but not like the limp white chicken breast of my olden days. You know what I mean? So this is how I cook chicken breasts in the air fryer. It's pretty good. They end up nice and juicy, a little brown on the outside, good flavor. You can, of course, use any kind of seasonings that you want on here. I go with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and then whatever I'm in the mood for, so you can play up with it. This recipe is just salt, black pepper, and garlic powder. Very simple, easy to change for your preferences. You're going to start by taking the chicken breast out of the refrigerator, and note that I'm going to give instructions for boneless, skinless chicken breasts and also for bone-in, skin-on. Either way, take them out of the refrigerator and preheat the air fryer to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not always convinced that it makes a huge difference, but since we want that browning, getting it as hot as we can, as soon as we can, might just help that little bit, right? Okay, how many chicken breasts you're doing really depends on how many you need and how many fit in your air fryer. I can fit 3 to 4 8-ounce chicken breasts easily in mine, so that is what we're going with. For that amount of chicken breast, you're going to use about a tablespoon of olive oil, or you can use a mister, like an olive oil sprayer, and you just want to get them a nice light coating all over, and then you're sprinkling them with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt total for all of them. If you like things a little saltier, you could do more. A 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then you can go in with any other seasoning blend that you would like. Just choose one that doesn't have salt in it because we've already salted them. Okay, now you're going to put the chicken breast into the air fryer basket, rounder side down, or like presentation side down, because we're going to be flipping them. Now, I flip them after about 10 minutes because I'm trying to cook them more evenly, and they're going to be in there for just a little bit longer if you do the flip. I will, however, say that if you want to maximize the browning, then you would want to not open the air fryer ever and always just have one side up so that that side browns the most it possibly can. So that is another trade-off, I guess, that you've got to make here. What I do is 10 minutes with the rounder side down, and then I flip it over, and if it's a boneless, skinless chicken breast, it's going to be about 5 to 8 minutes more for it to get to 165 degrees Fahrenheit inside. If you wanted to try for that extra browning, then you would start it with the presentation side up or rounder side up, and you would go for 15 minutes before checking it to see if it has gotten to that 165 degrees Fahrenheit inside internally. Use an instant read thermometer or cut into it and make sure it's no longer pink inside. Now, if you had the skin on, bone in chicken breast, you would still oil and season them the same way. You might want to get a little seasoning under the skin. That's always a nice thing to do as well. Not required. And then they are going skin side down for 15 minutes. And then you're going to flip them over and cook them until they're 165 in the middle. That's going to be about 12 to 15 minutes more. And I'm going to say I do always do the flip on the skin on chicken breast because that skin can start to get a little bit too dark if you just leave it exposed on the top for the full 30 minutes that it could take to cook. You see what I mean? Once the chicken has reached that temperature, you take them out of the air fryer, let them sit for a couple of minutes. I don't do anything special there. I just am transferring them to our dinner plates, and by the time we take them to the table, it has been 2 minutes usually, right? And then dig in. Super easy, hands off, nice and brown, no trade-off there for that. With the air fryer, isn't it such a revolutionary change to your kitchen? It really has changed how I cook. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is December 7th of 2024. If you are not already subscribed to this podcast, what are you waiting for? There is a new recipe every single day. You will always be learning and always have great ideas. To answer that question, what should I make today? To subscribe, you can do it at cookthestory.com/ROTD. The buttons are across the top for Apple Podcasts, Google, YouTube, and Amazon Music, or on your phone, go to your favorite podcast app and search for Recipe of the Day. You will find me there. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.